We all know that everybody loves the Intel Arc B580, but there's another competitor on the market that is the same price you guys may be sleeping on.
And it's the RTX 5050. On its launch, it was quite disappointing, but at the same price point, which one is the better option? The answer might surprise you, and we're gonna benchmark it and find out after a word from today's sponsor. Are you looking for a dream of a gaming laptop? Well, today's video sponsor, Dream Machine, certainly has you covered. Today we're showcasing their RTX 5060 lineup. Specifically, the model we have here features the latest AMD Ryzen AI7 350, a powerhouse of a CPU, and the RTX 5060 with a TGP of 115 watts, along with a 17-inch 1080p 144Hz display, perfect for those who prefer a bigger screen on the go. This laptop performs great in the latest titles and comes out of the box ready to go and without all that bloatware you would expect from the other brands on the market. To learn more about Dream Machines and all the laptops they have to offer, from 5060 to 5090s, check the links down below. And big thanks again to Dream Machines for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to the video, shall we?
So we have two graphics cards here that at the time of filming are both very similarly priced. They're around 250 bucks. We got the RTX 5050 with 8 gigs of GDDR6, and then of course we have the Intel Arc B580 with 12 gigs of GDDR6.
Now the debate is, at $250 buying a new GPU, again, we're not talking about used here, going used might save you some money, but honestly, used market's a little bit weird right now, so that is kind of up for debate. But if you're trying to spend 250 bucks on these two new options, which one's the better option? You might think the 12 gigs of VRAM is the no-brainer, right? Well, in 2025, yes, VRAM is the big debate, but there's more to just VRAM when it comes to performance. Let's talk about the key specs of these GPUs and then the test bench we will be testing them in.
The RTX 5050 was released July 1st of 2025. It was $249 MSRP and it still remains about that price. We're looking at PCIe Gen 5 by 8, so there may be some limitations on older systems. It does have 8 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, which is important to note because all of the other new NVIDIA cards are GDDR7, and has a TDP of 130 watts.
And the Arc B580 released on December 13th of 2024 with a $249 MSRP. It most certainly didn't stay at that for most of its life. It is a PCIe 4.0 by 8 carb, and it comes with 12 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM and a TDP of 190 watts. Again, the B580 is in this competition because it has come down in price a lot. Originally on its launch, it got really overhyped and you had to buy it on the scalper market, which was quite sad. But this Onyx model we have right here is $249 on Newegg. You can buy it today. Same for this 5050. You can buy it for 250 bucks. They're ready to go, and at the same price point, it makes for a really fun comparison. And to compare them, we're going to be using our mid-range test bench, which if you guys haven't seen it, features a 9600X, an ASRock B850 motherboard, and 32 gigs of DDR5 memory. Everything else don't really matter too much, but we're going to be playing a lot of games, some high-end AAA titles. We're going to play some esports titles to see, for 250 bucks, which one is the best bang for buck. Let's not waste any time and dive into testing.
We are testing out that RTX 5050, NVIDIA's newest and cheapest offering. I guess besides the 3050, but you know what? We're done with that.
We moved on to the 5050, but yeah, 250, it's going to be an interesting battle because B580 is a popular card, but it is more competing with previous gen. So how does the new gen lowest NVIDIA GPU compare at the same price? That's what we're going to find out.
Yep, so we're running 1920 by 1080 and we're not using any upscaling. We do have NVIDIA Reflex on, but other than that, just all low settings, no upscaling. And I mean, it's running fairly respectable. It's kind of like a console experience, you know? And this is a game that everybody talks about, just how hard it is to run. And I mean, we're doing it with no upscaling, but that's kind of the glorious part of NVIDIA versus, you know, an older gen Intel in this case, is we should get some good results if we try out frame gen and DLSS.
Yeah, that's the best part, and that'd be what's interesting compared to the B580. How does XeSS compare with frame gen? Will we get more value having the other options with the 5050?
Okay, so I mean, it's consistent. It's consistently right below 60 FPS. It seems that I think I've dipped to about 49. Yeah, 49 to like 55.
Yeah, so that works.
So let's try some of those upscaling things. So we'll go DLSS, we'll do balanced, and then what do you think, frame gen?
Yeah, let's do it.
2 times frame gen.
Plus FG. And what will we end up with? Oh, loading.
Wow.
140, 150 FPS.
And I gotta say, yeah, you know, I'm noticing like that.
There's some weird stuff happening in the distance. We're running low settings too, so I'm assuming the upscaling is going to be much more noticeable. I don't think it's rendering
much in the distance, but it's very playable. It's very smooth. Like it doesn't feel like it has like that weird response time latency. Like I don't feel anything wrong with this. I would gladly play with these settings. So yeah, we've definitely more than times 2 because of DLSS. Which if you just ran DLSS, you'd probably still get an extra 20, 30 FPS. It's pretty good.
70 to 80. And yeah, it's cool to test this with the CPU we're testing. We're using an actual mid-range CPU in the 9600X, so any upscaling is gonna have to use that CPU, and it's not gonna be helped out by like a really high-end 9800X 3D.
Yeah, so looking pretty good for the, only 250 bucks. Let's see what Intel has to bring to the table. All right, it's Intel's time to shine. We're on the Arc B580 back in Borderlands, and we are running 1080p. I'll show you guys that 1080p window full screen, low settings, no upscaling. So running about the lowest settings you can do 1080p with no upscaling.
You're getting pretty similar to what we got with the 5050. I mean, 5050 had a few stutters down to like 49, 50 FPS, but this is pretty consistently just like right under that 60 FPS mark, which, that's where upscaling would definitely help us out.
I gotta go find some enemies, so I am having to go into a different area than before, so mind the possible stutters.
I do like that the GPU is at like 100%. Like, we're not having some weirdness where the GPU is just not being fully utilized, but it's definitely there. It's using all it can do, all it can muster.
There's nothing oh my goodness.
Oh god, you got a lot of psychos here.
This is staying consistent. It's not really dropping like, big time or anything. Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Oh, okay, see, little bit of which, that's just Borderlands. I mean, I show my 5080, I get those.
That's where upscaling will help you, because you're going to have that drop in FPS. It's not going to be super consistent in a game like this, but it'd be cool to see. Again, we have Intel's upscaler. We got XeSS.
Yeah, which, hopefully they can keep up with NVIDIA and, AMD with their frame gen. So we're running basically the same as DLSS, but XeSS balanced, frame gen on.
150.
Okay. Yeah, did not expect this, honestly. Intel, like in the past with their first gen stuff, I wouldn't have even thought this would be a competition. But it kind of almost, it reminds me of like AMD, where they have finally caught up to NVIDIA. I feel like Intel is pretty darn close to catching up with AMD and NVIDIA.
Yeah, and again, FrameGen, like we mentioned, the 5050 unlocks the ability to go 1440p if you want to with some upscaling, which, again, you have the B580 with a little extra VRAM. That may be more appealing in the long term versus the 5050 with 8 gigs at the same price point. So as long as this is seemingly the same, the one with more VRAM might be the better option, but we got to play some more tests to fully lock that in and make sure. Let's switch on to
Benchmarkus.
All right, guys, so now we're on the 5050 in Oblivion Remastered, the most optimized game of all time. Just kidding, it's just quite demanding. But we're allowed to do a bunch of cool settings with this game. 1080p, currently on low settings with no upscaling. We will be testing upscaling here in a bit. And currently we're getting a nice 60 FPS. Now, normally when we run up this hill is when things start to lag a little bit, but I think what happened, and sometimes it's inconsistent with this game, is it'll take a very long time to load in to preload shaders, and it definitely did that this time around, because I mean, at some points we're getting 80 FPS on load settings, 1080p.
This is definitely something that any like older gen GPUs usually really struggle with. I mean, a lot of new games with the forced ray tracing and stuff like that. NVIDIA and AMD with their new cards especially, they all just got that edge.
But yeah, this one's definitely a smooth 70 to 80 FPS. 60s depending on the environment you're in. We'll go up to the actual gates to hell. Oh, I juked him. He ain't gonna get me this time. Run up to the gates of hell and see what we hold, but
Jonah just came through the gate.
70 FPS. Yeah, Jonah, go back through the gates. Go back through the gates, comrade. But this is one of those things where, 1080p, low settings on a game that is meant to literally stress your hardware just for the fun of it. I can live with that for sure. But we have to turn on some upscaling as well. Once I get rid of this Jonah. This Jonah needs to stop hanging out.
Go back to the film room.
Go back to the film room, Jonah.
We rang your bell, go.
Oh God, this good thing's gonna ring my bell.
He might mess you up.
Help me, help me.
Quick, give it a new fragrance.
Give it a new fragrance, it'll calm down. All right, so pretty comfortably 60 to 70 FPS, we'll say that. Let's run some DLSS. Let's see, let's go DLSS. We'll do balanced, turn on some FrameGen, because you know what? We have FrameGen features, might as well use it. And we're getting 100 FPS. Realistically, at 1080p, oh God, how did that happen? That's crazy.
After you've already fought them and gone into the gates of hell.
That's crazy.
How's the, is there any ghosting when you swing?
So we do a little swingy swing.
A little bit.
It's a little bit there. Really, that kind of ghosting we notice just depends on the CPU you have and a more modern NVIDIA GPU. If you have a more modern one, frame gen just runs much smoother. So, hey, 150 FPS with frame gen. I'd be interested to see with the B580. I think we can get somewhat close without upscaling, but I think when it comes to upscaling and frame gen, the 5050 is going to just be way better in terms of handling that. Just 50 series GPUs with the technology, love it or hate it, performs way better than the Intel offering right now. So again, 60 to 70 FPS without anything, about 160 FPS with frame gen and DLSS. That would give you some room for 1440p if you want to, but we are getting close to 8 gigs of VRAM, so that is important to mention. We're not forgetting about that, but that is one thing to definitely consider. Let's see what the B580 can do. Can Intel handle such a beautiful creature, such as Benchmarkus? All right, so we're on low settings. FXAA is on, no upscaling, looking pretty dang good. 60 FPS.
Not bad.
Dips below at times. We're gonna do the traditional run up the hill, see if things hold up. My God, look at him just hauling ass up that hill.
Sprinting.
I will say, we were average, okay, no, now we're hitting 80. Okay, because I was saying before the 5050, we were getting about 80 FPS here. This does feel a little bit lower, but it's impressive seeing the utilization at 99%. We're using all the GPU. Intel, you're optimizing. That's what we like to see.
They have nothing left to give.
Nothing left to give. We'll go over to the actual, the Oblivion gates so we can see what it looks like. I will say stuff is like loading in kind of slowly. Like look at the stuff on the ground. I don't think that was the case before. It could just be first launch, loading in kind of deal. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Let me run past you. Oh, I just juked him. Let's go. Yes, 68, 69 FPS, not bad. Again, we have the upscaling as well. I think this game has XeSS that we can utilize as well, but things are loading in, and I will say that does vary depending on what CPU you have, could impact the performance. But we think for a B580, realistically, even you might go even more budget for a B580 or a 5050, the 9600X is a good option. Let's go ahead and turn on some upscaling. So last time we did DLSS balance with frame gen, so we will do...
We have no XeSS, do we?
Oh wait, no, we have no upscaling on that.
Upscaling technique.
We do have XeSS, and we're gonna set that to balance, but we don't get frame gen. That's the problem. We don't have frame gen with XeSS. So we'll try this, but what we will need to do is probably turn on frame gen via FSR. This makes it more playable. I mean, it gives you more like 80 to 90 FPS. It looks decent, besides those textures taking forever to load in. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I can't help. I'm just a wee Benchmarkus. But 80 FPS, again, we didn't really run without frame gen on the other one, so we're most likely going to need to do some FSR frame gen, which we'll see how that goes. We'll run that on balanced, do frame gen on. Can it handle FSR frame gen? And not as good. Not nearly as good.
This isn't an AMD card.
This is again where the technologies start to struggle a bit. I do feel some input lag with this as well. So NVIDIA GPUs have been doing frame gen a lot longer, and they've made it to where it's almost like negligible. You can't even notice it. I do notice with the B580. If you're looking for raw horsepower though, I mean, it's very close to the 5050, but kind of how we predicted, the 5050 with the advanced technologies that you can use makes it a better value in terms of like the price performance out of the gate. The VRAM argument is something you can discuss in the comments down below, but hey, you know what? 100 FPS, I would give the win to the 5050 though if you are using upscaling. If you're running native, it's kind of a toss-up either way. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game, which is going to be Killing Floor 3.
All right, we are now playing Killing Floor 3. This is another Unreal Engine 5 game that you can turn ray tracing off now, which is pretty cool. But we're running 1920 by 1080p, low settings. We do have Lumen on, so there is a little bit of ray tracing. We're running full res, max FOV, and you know, it's kind of playable. I will say we just a second ago we had Lumen off, and we were getting what, like 80 FPS.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way to run this, especially at this price of a GPU. I wouldn't really be super focused on the ray tracing. I'm almost like
it's like running it on a 3050, you know?
Yeah, I kind of want my GPU at this price point just to be able to run the required ray tracing, not anything extra. And in this game, you can turn it pretty much all off because yeah, it's stuttery. And the low textures look kind of goofy with all the lumen, so, you know, not ideal.
Yeah, there's some games where you like just can't turn it off. At the moment, though, we're getting about, you know, a couple of stutters, but we'll just say 50. Oh, there's a big stutter. Yeah. Normally, we're getting like 50 plus FPS, like 50 to 55. But then we get a stutter every so often that drops to like 30. So it's just one of those games, you know, where we're rendering stuff in. Well, let's try changing some settings around, see what we can do here. DLSS, balanced. And then we'll just do 2 times frame gen. Turn lumen off. Yeah. Because I mean, I think that'll definitely give our Intel GPU a better chance. Okay, so now without ray tracing and with DLSS balanced and frame gen on, yeah, we're getting 190 FPS to almost 200 at times. Pretty wild.
Way smoother.
Game doesn't look a whole lot worse either. I mean, it's like slightly lower quality, but it's not bad, and it's way smoother. You know, if you're turning on frame gen and stuff, you're getting like horrible latencies, but we tell you if it's bad. This is not noticeable.
No, any modern GPU nowadays, it's harder to notice the latency. And also, this does open the window, especially because we're not utilizing all our VRAM, that you could do some 1440p with upscaling and get higher frame rates with frame gen. So you do have that option. 5050 being a $250 card, we kind of hope 1440p is on the table. We are doing 1080p for the benchmarks because realistically in higher end games, that's probably more realistic.
Yeah.
But 1440p is an option with the upscaling.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see what Intel can do. It is time for Killing Floor 3 on Intel B580. Mr. Arc is in the chat. We're running the exact same settings, which I'll go ahead and show you guys. We got to prove these things, you know, but we're doing full screen. We're at 1080p, and we're running the low preset. It's custom because we turn on Lumen ray tracing. I will say the B580, just like the 5050, does get a good amount more FPS when you turn off ray tracing.
Yeah.
Neither one of these GPUs are really ideal for ray tracing, especially not this one.
Yeah,
but it's holding.
We were getting about the same last time, 45 to, we were getting slightly higher highs though, but again, this is a slightly different spot too. That seems very, very lumen forward with all the flames and everything. So, but no, it seems like we're below 50 a little bit still. So this does seem a bit lower on average.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I feel the latency a little more. Like now I can kind of feel it in my mouse, but it's not unplayable. It's definitely playable. Let us try to give it the boost that it requires.
Last time we did DLSS balance with frame gen and lumen off.
Intel XeSS balanced. Oh, we can do frame gen.
Let's go.
All right, and then so yeah, we're giving it like its best chance, which that's what we did for I keep saying AMD. That's what we did for the 5050. Is we turned off Lumen, we added balanced DLSS with frame gen on, but now we're doing XeSS.
Wow, that's a lot of FPS.
I don't think XeSS looks quite as good. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the area we're in. But I don't know. I think it looks, that guy was smooth.
Yeah,
he was smooth.
The textures are looking quite smooth. So again, we're on all low, which I'm assuming the render distance is probably really low. Once the zombies are up on you, the textures seem fine. But off in the distance, they're pretty low textures. But the FPS seems similar.
The FPS is really good. Yeah, and that's something I know we really used to notice that with XeSS when it first came out for like first gen Arc. It did not look nearly as good upscaling wise, but it's come a long way. I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and the performance was never as close as DLSS. Like it would help, but it just couldn't fix the problems with the GPUs to begin with.
Are these guys like 8-bit outlined? Oh,
yeah.
Die. What in the heck? Oh, he killed himself. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, 230 to 240 FPS when we turned some frame gen and XeSS on, so it's pretty impressive.
All right, last game we're gonna test, just for the fun of it, good old Fortnite. All right, guys, Fortnite's back. Yeah, we had to include Fortnite in this test because if you're buying a new GPU for $250, really that under $300 mark, you're gonna be playing esports titles, free-to-play games like Fortnite. And we're currently running the following settings. Let's see if I can survive here. This is Blitz, I gotta be very careful. Okay, never mind, I'm not gonna show you. We are running DX12. If I get a second, I will show you because there are people all around me. DX12, far view distance and low textures. Sabrina Carpenter!
Oh, she's got movement. A Christmas tree.
Sabrina's gonna come back in third party. I already know it. 200 plus FPS, 300 at times. This game is very CPU bound, but as you guys can see, at some points we are hitting 100% on our GPU. So running these settings, we should see somewhat of a difference. And if we know anything from our years of playing Fortnite, it can be incredibly finicky on certain GPUs in certain scenarios at certain times of day, whatever the weather is outside. Like, I mean,
raining.
Fortnite just be absolutely crazy sometimes. So we like to test it in multiple scenarios. Sabrina, it's the vibe here, Sabrina. I don't know what the vibe was there. Give me this, give me that. Give me the crown. You won the game? I can't believe it.
They're funneling.
The funnel is real. I don't know.
You killed the one real player, Sabrina.
Sabrina had the movement.
Oh, that's real. He's real.
Oh! 12 HP. That's a real gamer right there that got me. No problem getting 300 plus FPS. I'll say about 280 to 300 was the average most of the time, but you guys at home be able to see it better than me. Let's see what the B580 can do. All right, guys, I'm escaping the Fortnite. I am with the B580 in Fortnite, running the same settings, DX12, all that sort of jazz. Last time we were getting about 280 to 300 FPS on average. I'm literally getting shot out of the sky. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now?
You're in the real lobbies now, son.
I think so, and FPS is a little bit lower, which this is one that I kind of expected because, you know, Fortnite, it takes years of work and training. Intel can't just prance in here and take NVIDIA's crown. It takes hard work to optimize. It's actually getting better now that I'm like running around, but all jokes aside, optimizing for Fortnite has always been a fun thing to see.
And then Fortnite does an update.
And then Fortnite does an update and it breaks absolutely everything. So, but this is still good. I mean, paired with the right CPU, you wouldn't be disappointed with these FPS numbers.
Oh my God.
But it is a bit lower. It's a little bit lower on average. That is easy to see with my naked eye. 18. But no, this is looking good. Let's just see how many kills we can get. See if we do better than we did on the 50-50. Wow. Cook. Oh! 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 Oh!
Ooh. You're getting shot from above.
No!
Oh, I think did you get fourth last time?
I think so. I think I did better. I don't remember, but I think the performance is within margin of error. Maybe like 10 FPS here and there on average, but at times we're hitting 300. It's one of those where with the same CPU, not really that noticeable. But hey, we ran our benchmarks. It was a pretty close race, but let's do some side-by-side benchmarks, get our GPU price performance score, and go from there. There's gonna be a big asterisk on the GPU price performance score. We'll talk about it during the outro, but this is a fun battle for $250 for an all-new GPU. Which one's gonna come out top? We'll talk about that. Okay guys, we had some fun with some Let's Play style benchmarks. Now let's do some side-by-side benchmarks so you can easier see the difference between the B580 and RTX 5050 and come to a somewhat of a conclusion about this challenge. First up, we ran CS2 1080p high settings to try to make the GPU more of the bottleneck, and with the RTX 5050, we went with an average of 276.6 FPS with 1% low of 129.8, while the B580 got an average of 259.6 FPS with a 1% low of 158.3. The 1% lows were actually higher with the B580, which means a smoother experience, but they are high enough to where I would think most of them you really wouldn't notice a major difference between the two, but the averages were better on the RTX 5050, but this is one of those tests, just like the benchmarks we ran before, where things are really close to where you may just want to opt for the GPU with more VRAM, hence the B580, but in theory, the 5050 is the faster raw horsepower GPU currently. Next up, another esports title that is more demanding and has some ray tracing built in, Marvel Rivals, 1080p medium settings with no upscaling. The 5050 got an average of 87 FPS, the 1% low of 65, while the B580 got an average of 82 FPS with a 1% low of 56. Once again, very close difference here. We only have a 5-frame average difference here between the B580 and 5050, and it does show that, hey, the 5050 is actually quite impressive if you think about it in terms of its price to performance when the B580 is getting a lot of hype, but the biggest issue is if that 5050 had 12 gigs of VRAM, it wouldn't even be a debate. This is a better overall GPU. It's really the 8 gigs of VRAM that makes it really hard to recommend the 5050 still when the B580 has 12 gigs of VRAM because it is a better long-term option. There's no debating that. And lastly, we ran 3D Mark TimeSpy and got our GPU score to get a cent per point calculation on the price performance of each GPU. And with the RTX 5050, we got a score of 10,353, which is a 0.0241 cent per point score versus the B580, which got a score of 14,922, which is a 0.0168 cent per point score. In this test, the B580 is actually better, but there is actually documentation out there that show that Intel really optimizes their GPUs for 3D Mark benchmarks. So whatever we see in Intel GPU, as much as we love them, and the fact that we tested all these other games and every single game it ran behind the RTX 5050, the fact that 3D Mark happens to be the one that is substantially better, there is some optimizations on these GPUs for 3D Mark TimeSpy. So again, take take these numbers with a grain of salt, but in this test, the B580 is the better value in terms of how many points you're getting for your money. So all in all, the B580 and 5050, it's a close battle, and some of you at home might have thought, well, the B580 would be in the lead. Well, the 5050 in terms of averages, and in some cases 1% lows, seems to be the faster GPU to buy. But does the B580 with its 12 gigs of VRAM just get the automatic win because it has better longevity? We're have to bring Jackson back in here to talk about that.
Oh, you guys won't believe it. The card with less VRAM is better.
I know, it's just mind-blowing, isn't it? But hey, the benchmarks show that the 5050 in terms of raw horsepower in the games we tested is the better overall card. Is it close? Yeah, it's pretty dang close. But that's up for you guys to decide at home. Will you give up a few FPS for more VRAM, 4 gigs to be exact? That might be worth it for some of you at home. But if you want the latest and greatest, and again, those NVIDIA feature sets really helped out a lot with the 5050 here, you will have a faster gaming experience with the 5050. Don't shoot the messenger.
And of course, there may be some games that we didn't test. I mean, like Indiana Jones and the freaking Great Lost Circle, whatever it's called. Like, there's some games that maybe the 12 gig card will perform better just because it has more VRAM. But guys, let's be honest, 90% of the games out there, 99% of the games out there, the 8 gigs is still enough to run them at 1080p.
But 1440p is something that you have to consider. And again, at $250, this would be a better option if you are going to go 1440p. But again, at this price point and the market we're currently in, I don't think either of these are great 1440p options to begin with. I'd be spending more money if you do plan on gaming at 1440p. But if you want to buy a B580 or a 5050 now that you watch this video, check the links in the description down below. They are affiliate links. They will help us out. Are you surprised by the results? Let us know in the comments.
But as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
At PCBros.tech, we actually do builds with both of these GPUs. The B580 is regularly in stock on one of our staple gaming PCs, which means we always have them, they're ready to ship, and the 5050 is used every so often in custom builds.
PCBros.tech, you can buy a gaming PC if you just don't want to worry about, well, figuring out what GPU to do for your own build. You can buy one with peace of mind and customer service. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.